Welcome to Uncomfortable Growth Uncut, where we celebrate those who defy fear, embrace growth, and live without regret. In a world that celebrates perfection, we rarely hear about the challenges, fears, and crossroads that successful leaders grapple with across work and life. Uncomfortable Growth Uncut shines a light on their personal story and the critical human skills we all need today to turn trials into triumph. So, welcome to Uncomfortable Growth Uncut. I'm here today with Julia Zaetta, who is a true legend in the media industry. She's one of, if not the longest serving publisher in the industry, and she has won so many awards, has so many accolades. I can't even begin to capture them all, but I do want to say a huge welcome to Julia, and thanks so much for coming on Uncomfortable Growth Uncut.
That's my great pleasure, and I'm looking forward to talking to you about that, because along with that lovely longevity of a most wonderful career, I don't like to use that word much, but of work, I just loved it enormously, and I couldn't have been happier or been luckier to get what I did. So the uncomfortable growth bit parallels it, but it helped enormously. Yep.
Yeah, and it's so lovely to hear how much love you have for what you've done for so many years. You know, to actually speak to people who have loved their jobs and loved, how that's aligned with their personal passion. It's just actually really special, because it's not a given, it's not common. So I'm looking.
And I'm sorry for cutting across you. I've had occasion to talk to young kids who are going into the industry of whatever their choice is. And the first thing I say to them is, love what you do. And if you don't love it, leave. And if you can't leave, learn to love it. Because that is critical with what you do in your work life, that you have to love what you do, because it becomes your life, and it becomes the people in your life, and it becomes how you think. So you have to love it, otherwise you're going to be miserable. I had a great
true.
Yes.
I like how you say too, and if you don't love it, learn to love it, because you want to have that connection and that energy and that passion and that motivation that comes with loving what you do.
Well, before COVID, having to get up every morning and go somewhere and be there for 8 hours or 10 hours, depending upon how hard you worked. Why would you waste your life not actually having the best time ever? So if I can ever encourage anybody in the workplace, that's what I tell them to do. Make sure you love what you do, or learn to love it. Does that apply to partners though, Rowena? That's the other question.
Well, with that, let's jump into your uncomfortable growth story. So what have you got to share with us today?
I've had a really interesting upbringing. My father was Italian, from the north of Italy, and came to Australia in the early 1920s, and ended up being a photographer in a country town in Victoria called Mildura, and starting the symphony orchestra up there as well. So I had a very lovely, creative, colourful, dynamic upbringing. And then I went to school in Melbourne at a girls' school, and that was pretty nice too. So then just life went on happily until I took up with my current partner, and we've been together now for something like, 40 years. We're not even sure. But it's the uncomfortable growth started in about 2005 when we found out my sister had cancer, and she was only 58. And roughly at the time we found out about her, my mother died. So I was, and they were in Melbourne and I was in Sydney. So I had both of them. Mum old, she just died suddenly. I think it was misadventure. I'll never know what happened to her, but she was in a home, and they rang me to say she'd gone. And it was pretty much at the same time my sister had an enormous stem cell transplant, and she was very, very sick in hospital. So I often wonder, Rowena, and this sounds very dramatic, but it's true, I wouldn't let anybody dress my mother when she died, and it actually became comedic because she was having an open coffin and I put stockings on her and things, and her legs were up in the air, and the guy who was helping me couldn't stop himself from laughing, and I said, Mum would be enjoying this, so go ahead. So, but then fortunately, as luck would have it, I was with my sister when she died really suddenly. She'd had I'd gone down to Melbourne just to be with her again, and she was having a stent put in because she had jaundice, and they said, easy operation, don't worry, go and have a cup of coffee and then come and get her. Oh, and when we got back, they said, your sister's had a great dazzling recovery from this procedure. Just go off again and give her time to come round and come back and get her. And when we got back there, I was with my niece. They said, it's always difficult to tell this story. They said, your sister might only have 10 minutes to live. This is after they told us, yes. She went into toxic shock. Anyway, she died about 3 hours later that night. They thought she lasted a long time. So, and then I dressed her as well because I didn't want anyone touching my sister.
What a shock as well. I mean, because obviously she was sick from the cancer, but this was just meant to be a routine, a big deal, you know, easy.
Walking down with the anaesthetist, he said, this never goes wrong. You know, there's 0.0004% chance that this can ever have any complications. So I was looking forward to the weekend with her and it fixing her jaundice, but that happened. And then not long later, so I've had these things one after the other, the uncomfortable growth is beginning. My partner, who was running a retail business, had crashed and burned, and he came home one day and said, I'm really sorry, we've lost everything. So all the super had gone, 30 years of super went. We lost the house and we lost the savings, and it was the year my son was doing HSC. So he was
all your security, like all your security from your mum, you know, like family security.
Yeah, that's right.
Your mum's an anchor, and obviously she was, you know, of an elderly age, but then your sister suddenly her life is just gone, and then suddenly the security of your financials, you know, and your house and
everything.
Oh, my goodness.
So and so I had to figure out really quickly what to do. And I've got to tell you, there's that lovely expression, you know, your heart's in your throat. I remember when I got the news, both of my sister and then that everything had gone, you were almost choking with panic, and your brain seems to kick in and go, this is too hard for you to deal with, so I'm going to close off the emotions. And you just then you then do what you have to do, almost as an automaton, what they say. You just do what you have to do, because your emotions, if you had to deal with your emotions at the same time, you wouldn't be able to.
It's too much, so your brain protects yourself, so you become more robotic and just do what you have to do, like you said. What was the time between these three?
Mum went in late 2005, my son's birthday. Mum died. My sister died about 12 months later, and then this news came about 12 months later.
Wow, so all within 2 years.
Yes. So I'd learnt by virtue of my father two things. You never give up and you never fall to your knees. So I had to think really quickly. Fortunately, I was still in the job I loved, which gave me all my life and whatever. But I had to find my son and I somewhere to rent, because my other half, Christopher, his name is, went to Singapore to work for a while. And then we have a farm, which I'm currently at, and I'll tell you that story too. So then he came down and lived at the farm, and my son Johnny and I stayed in Sydney. I had to just separate out from him for a while, because it was a circumstance of, there was the work life, which was wonderful and sensational. It was Better Homes and Gardens, so it was growing. and becoming the biggest magazine in the country. So there was all that joy and excitement. But over here, I had to make sure my son was okay.
Yeah.
And wasn't feeling the effects of it too much, and that he was okay with his dad being down in the country, because also my Christopher's sister died about the same time. So we both lost.
Both lost a really close family relative.
Yes. So we both lost our sisters, and we only had one each, and no other siblings. So I just learned that I had to just work things out.
Yeah.
And that, you hear that thing that you hear, you've got to look after yourself, because ultimately if anything goes wrong. So I just began to work out how the finances needed to work. And I was lucky because I was still being paid okay. And could manage. The grief didn't go away. And I have to say, after my sister died, I felt like someone had cut me in half, and I tilted for a year as I walked. She was 5 years older than me, and I didn't make a decision, not even a work one, without ringing Louise and saying, what do you reckon I should do?
You were really close.
Yes. So then I was on my own for coming and going. Christopher used to come up and down, and we'd spend that time. But I needed to get myself back.
Yeah.
Because when you're in a relationship and you're a partner and a mother and stuff, you're part of a group, less so an individual. But I had to find myself again so that I could actually manage what life was going ahead.
Yeah.
But then when COVID hit, I was going to.
Can I just ask you a couple of questions, because there's just so much in your story. How did you find yourself again? Like what helped you to actually start to feel like you again?
The thing that I've found, and that it's 17 years since my sister's gone, so I've been dealing with all of this, and it's probably about 2008. It's about 12, no, longer, 16 years now since we lost everything. I found the best for me. The best thing to do was, and I become almost obsessive with it, needing to be with people. So I'll have coffee with people. I'll find out if they're available for lunch. I'll meet them for dinner. I'll talk to them on the phone. But and maybe that, you've just made me think, Rowena, that maybe that makes me substitute the loss of family, because when you don't have a close family member like a sister or a brother, there's no one you can fall over on, so to speak, as comfortably.
Yeah.
So I manage it by just doing that all the time.
Yeah.
And have a lovely group of people down here at the farm where we now live, and still lovely people in Sydney. Melbourne is beautiful for me. Yeah. So I do that. And if I don't have people around, I start to go to bits.
Yeah.
That's pretty much, I think, how I've managed it.
Yeah. And I think it's so helpful to, whenever we have these big challenges or something really big and difficult happens, like losing a sibling.
Yes.
It's so helpful to step back and say, what do I need? Like, what is going to help me? And that looks different for everyone. Yes. And I think it's so important that we don't just think of it as an event, but we think of it as a part of us that needs something new to be healthy and well, which is why I loved how you articulated that you need people. You want to have that closeness, that that ability to connect with lots of people and have people that you can share with.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what's now happening that I'm having to deal with again, and it's taking me a little longer and it's a bit harder, is because of the financial circumstances. We sold our place in Sydney and we moved to this 120 acres that we've had for 20 years, which has always been a weekender.
Mm-hmm.
And it's isolated on purpose because when we came down for the weekend, we didn't want to see anybody else. We just wanted space and view. And so, but when you live here, which is now what we've done for about 12 months, I go crazy because I've got to get in the car and go to the little coffee shop down the road or the general store, and it's not always open because it's
regional.
And then the local town is, you know, again, the coffee shops close at 2:00, so you've got to hurry up. And it's a long way to Bowral and it's a long way to Goulburn. So the people connection is always driving and it's not always possible. So I have to move, much and all it's distressing to my other half who doesn't mind being here. But I go and stay with my son in Sydney and help him with his rent so that he's okay about it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I would not manage. And I don't know what not manage translates to, but I couldn't manage.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really helpful to know that about yourself.
Yes.
Because now you're really clear about what I need to do to maintain well-being.
Yes, yes. And in fact, because you get criticism, jokey criticism about can't you just rest and relax? No, I can't. You know, I can listen to books and I can read books, but I have to read it in bed at night or because I've got to get up and be doing things. Because interestingly enough, and you make me look into myself a bit more than I normally do, I'm not sure whether I should be thanking you for that or not. If I have time to be just with me, that's not good. Right. So I don't want to do that too much. I just like to do that. And I find people fabulously interesting as well. So it's not a chore; it's a delight to do that.
So, because we started to talk a bit more deeply about how you manage your health, and then you were about to tell me about COVID, which I imagine was really difficult if you love being with people. So, tell me a bit more about COVID.
Well, the tragedy for me about COVID was I was just about to go across to the new magazine company. Big magazine companies had come together. And I wasn't going to the new one as the senior executive. I was going over there as travel director of the whole place. And that was Better Homes, Women's Weekly, Women's Day, New Idea, Marie Claire Husband. So I was going to be doing all the travel for them, and travel up until COVID was an incredibly lucrative part of the media business. They spent so much money on advertising, it was ridiculous. So, but then in between the negotiations of them finalising one company taking over the other and me waiting to go and start my new role, COVID hit. So the last person they needed
was a
travel director. Much and all as it would have made sense because I would have kept the relationships going, and when it came back, we would have got a lot of money. So then all my lovely career had ended unnaturally, as it were. And I ended up coming and going down here to the farm and back up to Sydney. So I'm now doing a magazine for Harris Farm Markets in New South Wales, and working to relaunch and rebuild the business for Graham Ross, the gardening guru, with everything he's doing. So still in magazines. But the interesting thing that happens also, and because you want these negatives, not the positives, I'm going to give them to you. I don't have an office as such.
Yeah.
So my laptop, I now work anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah.
American Library, they call me by name. There's a coffee shop in North Sydney, the coffee shop down here. I go everywhere working, and it's really unsettling not to have somewhere that you can just go to every day where everything is. So all my work is pretty much just my laptop. So I don't have a pile of magazines or all the letters that you used to have or the things behind you that you wanted. And I find that very unsettling because I'm not grounded anywhere. But until we move from this farm, which we've got on the market, hoping to sell, and find something where selfishly I like to be. It's life is just like this all the time.
Yeah.
So I have to put as much work into staying happy as I do about writing a story.
Yeah. Yeah. You do get to know yourself so incrementally, don't you think?
Yes.
Like, you know, it takes a lifetime to know yourself. And you get to learn new things all the time, but once you know them, then you know that they're important and it's something that you need to do. For example, you need people around you. So you need to make an effort. You need to make sure that continues. And even now with, I guess, your hybrid working or your flexible working, but it's not your preferred way of working.
No, it isn't. And it's interesting because when you title this Uncomfortable Growth, it is. And so you're constantly trying to make it comfortable. Because at my age, 72 now, everybody around me is comfortable. They're retired or they're rewiring, not retiring. And they're financially okay and they're living in their homes and they don't have to work and do all that sort of stuff. So they're fine. And the other thing is that when you're surrounded by them as well, it makes it difficult too. But like I said to you, you learn, never fall to your knees and never give up, because what does that translate to mean if you do either of those things?
Yeah. And you said that came from your father.
Yes, did.
Yeah.
He was intrepid, wonderful, just didn't ever stop, Dad. And he'd be up in the morning and properly dressed, and he'd always have a shirt and tie on and a jumper, and he was active even when he stopped his photographic business. He was writing, composing music, and he was still in a trio in Melbourne called the Italian Mandolin Trio. And they used to play all the time everywhere. And the trio only started to end when the first one died at 85.
Oh, wow.
So, I know. They met on the way over in 1925 and they played forever. But Dad did never give up.
Yeah.
And he was sort of observing him. It just became who we were.
Yeah. Part of the family identity.
Yes, part of the family identity. And I think that because he was creative, photography, music, painting, he painted two portraits of himself and two of my mother for my sister and I. Huge bloody things that I don't know what to do with them. But that creative process was what he pursued, and I think that just sits within you.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. So your career, you've talked about, what happened with your family, but you've also talked about your career as being such a source of joy and obviously also a source of growth.
Yes.
And overall very positive because it's what you loved. But did you also find there were uncomfortable times or things that you found hard in your career?
Look, not much really. Personally, maybe every so often a difficult person to work with or someone I had working for me, because I managed a lot of people over the years. As the editor, you've got all the staff underneath you. So I can't really say that there was anything outstanding in that area. I think it was just business decisions that might have been hard.
Yeah.
A bad cover that didn't sell as much that broke your heart. But other than that, and because I had an opportunity to go from one magazine to another and launched magazines and relaunched magazines and did the biggies like Women's Weekly and Better Homes.
Yeah.
Every one was a learning experience and a growth experience by virtue of business,
Yes.
not necessarily personal,
Yeah.
because it was always so good, so entertaining, so much support with everybody, because editorial got advertising support, the publishers support, the finance people support, because you were sort of where the money was coming in the main.
Yeah.
So, no, and I was incredibly fortunate to follow the instinct that I had when I was younger to go into decorator magazines, because I can't think I could have done anything better to make me happier.
Yeah. And what was it you loved about it so much? Like, why did it make you so happy and joyous to turn up? What was it about the job?
With Better Homes, for example, you're working with gardens, decorating, food, craft, health and well-being, and then when we brought the travel in, so you were working in those content areas the whole time, talking about hydrangeas, then talking about what do you do with polenta, and going from there. But then sustaining the departments was the artists. So you're talking about creativity. Should it be red? Should it be a double-page spread shot? So you're dealing with beauty in that area. And then the words people. So you've got them and you're trying to figure out what the heading should be. So the collective of subject matter that we all worked with as in magazines was just beautiful. And then because you're also working with people who think similarly, so you're aiming for the same thing. You're never at loggerheads. And if you're at loggerheads, it's because you don't think the cover line I've written is quite as good as the one I've written. So it's and it almost becomes humorous as well. It was just magnificent. And then when I went across and launched a magazine called New Woman.
I remember New Woman.
Yeah. For older women, Rowena, women over 35.
That old, my goodness.
I know. So then it was all about the women's issues, and it sort of coincided with the second wave of feminism that was reaching the suburbs. So the energy and enthusiasm that went with producing a magazine for women who were getting divorced, who were going to be stepmothers. What are you doing with your face now that the wrinkles are starting to appear? It was extraordinary to do that. And then relaunching a lovely magazine called Family Circle. And Family Circle's research results was that if the recipe came from Family Circle, it was going to be wow. So that in itself turned out to be wonderful. And I remember when we relaunched Family Circle, my partner, who was my publisher, had a wonderful question, which was, if your magazine were a song, what would it be? Which actually, and in fact, if you ask yourself that question about yourself, if you were a song, Rowena, what would it be? So I got all the women on the staff to give us what they thought, and we did this medley of music that was just wonderful about women. So all that constantly joyous, exciting, entertaining, informative stuff that just kept you growing as a person. In fact, it is an interesting question. If you were a song, Rowena, what would it be?
Well, I would, for me, there's one song that I love, and it's not a particularly famous song. It's by Leonardo's Bride, and it's called Even When You're Sleeping. And
I'm going to write that down.
I just think it's such a beautiful song. But I think also I like it because it's very clear that the words, it doesn't have a lot of instruments to it. It's quite acoustic. And it's just beautiful lyrics, and it's a emotive song. They're more like a reflective ballad type of song. And I've always loved it. And you know when you make your own playlists?
Yes.
And I've got a playlist which I use sometimes for my work, which I call reflective music playlist. And I always put it in. Like, it goes into more of my playlist than anything else.
I'm going to have a listen to it when we're finished, even when you're sleeping.
Yeah, because even when you ask that question, I'm like, that would be the song I would choose.
To represent you.
Yeah, the one that I feel connects with me and represents me, because it's talking about how much I love you even when you're sleeping.
Yeah.
Your love is everywhere. So, it's just a beautiful, beautiful, positive but reflective song.
Well, I'll have a listen. I couldn't even begin to think about a song, but I might, because you've got it. So you're comfortable in knowing who you are. Well done.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I love these questions that just pop up and you're like, yeah, what song would I be? Yeah. I think it's also so fascinating then to step back while we're on this kind of discussion around know yourself, right? To step back and say, what is it that really brings me joy? Because I hear you talk about it so effortlessly, and so many people are not sure of what brings them joy. And I think when we're talking about uncomfortable growth, to be in the uncomfortable zone, to deal with that, you also need to know what brings you joy. And I talk a lot about how people have a small self and a best self, and we both have that, and we move between them. But the trick is to how to understand yourself well enough so you know how to be your best self more often. So when you talked about, I know I need to see people, I need to go and find people, that's how you move into your best self, because if you don't see people, you'll get stuck in your small self. And so I always say to people also, what's your joy? Because if you know your joy, you have somewhere to go to find your best self. What's that thing that just brings you? And I just wanted to say it's so beautiful to hear you speak about it so effortlessly, around the creativity and your work and working with those people and the content. And there's very, very few people who talk about their work like that.
Oh, well, I recognize how lucky I was doing what I love. And I think, again, my father came into the picture because photography was an art for him, much in all as he hated taking kids because they'd start to cry when he was going to do it. But and so the pursuit of the creative was without question. And I have to say, when I did a uni degree because I got a scholarship, didn't know what I wanted to do till I figured out magazines. But I didn't learn to type on purpose because I thought, if I can't type, there's absolutely no way I can even accidentally fall into being somebody's assistant. So I didn't worry about that till I started working in mags. But it's hard. When people say, what do you really like to do? When I say I just like to be with other people, they go, no, what do you really like to do? And they think it's a hobby that you need that's going to give you joy, or a pastime or something. You're right. I'm lucky that I've found out that's what I like to do.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that either. Thank you.
You're welcome. My mother's actually the same. Her joy is being around people, and and I see it so much in her. And my dad's always going, Jen, why do you always need to go out? Why do you always want to go to the shops? But it's because that's her pastime. That's her joy. And she loves going and just talking with people and having coffee, or just hearing about their family and what's going on. And it just brings her just so much joy and energy and positivity.
Yes, I get your mother. Yes.
Well, why don't we go through our quick fire questions?
Yes.
I'm going to be really fascinated by your answers. Okay, so what are 3 things you've learned about yourself in recent years?
That one, the main one, that I need to be with people. That I worry about my son's happiness. It's if that's a sane answer. and making sure, doing whatever is possible to make sure the next 20 years, because I'd like to get to the age my mother was, are as happy as the happiest I've ever experienced. So that's also trying to deal with the uncomfortable growth. How do we stop the discomfort, as it were, of what's happening right now, and making sure that when you wake up every day, you go, this is amazing.
Yeah, I love that.
Mm.
And let me ask, why do you worry about your son's happiness?
Because he's always been a bit crazy. Artistic again, like my father. Can play the violin by ear, not that he does. Went and did a singing diploma before he got into politics. Reads, he's another one who's got the arts involved in him. But he's always worried about himself, panicking.
Yeah.
And he was bullied at school when he was very little. And I wonder whether that's just hung over, that he's always seeking out the bully in a way. So until he's happily in a happy relationship, and he's 33 and he's had a couple, but not the one yet, he's my daily concern. And, you know, you're not allowed to ask them about it or talk to them about it much because they get really annoyed.
Yeah.
But until he's happy, I won't be. You know, there's that lovely saying, you're only as unhappy as your happiest child, or you're only as happy as your unhappiest child. So true. Yeah, I live there with that.
Yeah, I'm sure you're a wonderful mother.
Too invasive, he will tell you. She never keeps quiet, doesn't mind her own business. But you see, on the other hand, I have two nieces, one who's 40 and one who's 42, who are my sister's girls. And her dying really screwed them up, and neither of those are in relationships either. So there's three siblings in my life. None are settled and very happy. So they just, you know, hang around all
at the back of your head. Yeah. I think often as a parent too, like you said, your children are always in your orbit.
Yes.
And so you're always just checking and knowing, and you know, they're part of your orbit.
Yes.
So
they are part of your orbit, quite right.
Yes. Yeah. And you're always aware of, you know, just checking in where they're at.
Yes.
Yeah. He's lucky to have you as a mum, I would say.
Lucky he's not sitting here.
Okay, next question. What is important to you at the moment in your life?
Am I allowed to repeat? Because I think it is working really hard to try and make the next 20 years, however long it is, good, and not be in the frame of mind at the moment is that we're like your mother in Bundanoon, too far away from people. Having to work too hard to keep what makes you happy happy. So I understand your mother not wanting to be out there in the back of Bundanoon. And that's the back of Bundanoon is mid-city in relation to where we are here.
Right, it's the big smoke.
I think it's really important to be able to lie on your deathbed and think, I had a good time and I didn't waste it, and what I did meant a lot to me.
So
that's
what it's about.
Focusing on it, yes. So it's not uncomfortable like you're talking about. So it's comfortable every day.
But I also think too that I like what you said around I'm working at it. So because I think there's the assumption that happiness sometimes just happens, and that's not necessarily true. Like you have to work at it. It takes effort. It takes reflection. It takes self-insight. It takes compromise, you know, also with partners and family and everything else. Like you have to be intentional so that you know, whatever is your end of time, when you're at that point, you're like, I've lived a good life.
And that's a really good word, that you have to be intentional. Because you read where people, you know, philosophers and those sorts of people say you must not be lying on your deathbed thinking I wasted my life. That would just be the greatest tragedy if that happened. So intentional is a great word. Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, last question, but it's got
Yes.
3 parts, of course.
Yes.
What is a current fear, a current inspiration, and a current challenge for you at the moment? So we've got fear, inspiration, and challenge.
It's a little bit repetitive. I'm sorry of what I was saying to you before. I think the fear is not being able to change what's not working now and fix it, and that it'll go too long. And I think the other thing that happens if it goes too long, it begins to change who you are fundamentally, because you start to become, there's elements of you that turn into a sad sack, and you don't want to be a sad sack. So if you can't control what you need as easily as you would, so the property's the thing at the moment, it's for sale, and we can't control the sale. So the fear is being drowned by not being able to fix it. It's probably the biggest one at the moment. And it couples up a little bit with the 3 kids not finding happiness soon, because you can't really be thrilled and delighted if the ones you love the most aren't thrilled and delighted as well. So those 2 things dog me most. And the third one was?
And an inspiration for you at the moment.
I'm not sure. That's a hard one. I think having sorts of conversations like these, reading interesting books which give you a sentence or a concept here or there that makes you think, of course I should do that, and of course I can do that. And I think, again, the notion of never, never, never give up just is what I've got a card that sits somewhere that says that. And I think that's probably the most inspirational thing I have in my life. Never, never, never give up.
Yeah. Well, and it's in your DNA, right? It's passed on through not just genetics, but the role modeling of your dad.
Yes.
You know, never fall to your knees. I love the way you articulate it.
Yes. You never fall to your knees. And there was if I can tell you another quick story about my sister, another thing that I think along those lines, I was on a plane coming back from Townsville some years back. I'd been to a craft fair, and I had 2 hours on this flight to myself, and I thought, how wonderful. I can sleep or read or whatever. And then this woman sidled up beside me and said, hello, I'm Brenda. And I thought, there goes my flight. Screw you, Brenda. I just wanted a nice white flight. Anyway, Brenda talked the whole time about that book. Remember that CD years ago called The Secret? So she went on and on and on and on about The Secret. I said to her, look, my niece did what The Secret suggested. My niece wanted to be the deputy editor of the ABC music magazine called Limelight. So she wrote her name in the place. She went and got the clothes to wear for the interview. She put it in a diary. She did everything that The Secret said. And I said, but she didn't get the job. She didn't even get an interview. And she said, did she ring them up? And I said, no, she didn't. She said, did she write to them? No, she didn't. Did she email them again? And I said, no, she didn't. She didn't even go and see them. No, she didn't. And she said, you must never let anyone else be your finish line. And I thought that was interesting. So I wrote down finish line on my hand. That was the Wednesday. On the Friday, which was the day my sister died that I was telling you about, was about 11 o'clock in the morning. I'd come out of a meeting and I thought, I'll go down and spend the weekend with Louise, and I'll go and see her before her stint. And assistant at work got me a plane for the flight and all of that sort of stuff. And I got to the airport early enough to go on an earlier flight, and I was worried that the flight I was on wasn't going to get me to the hospital in time to see her before she went in. So I went to the woman at the checkout desk and said, could I get on an earlier flight? You know, my sister's not well. She did all that sort of stuff they do. And then she said, no, I'm terribly sorry. You booked on a flight that you can't change. And I went, okay. And then I started to walk away and I thought, no, you're not going to be my finish line. So I went to another person and asked the same question, and she said, just a minute. She went off and she came back and she said, yes, I've just seen the manager. We'll put you on an earlier flight. We'll put you up front so you can get off in time. Got to my sister with half an hour to spare. We had this ridiculously in-depth conversation. She was double vision. She was getting tired. She didn't want to go on anymore. Look after the girls. And I was saying, don't be ridiculous, Louise. You know, this is nothing. It's just a step. Very meaningful, intense conversation that only lasted half an hour. Then they took her off. And I didn't ever get to speak to my sister again. Had I not written down finish line, I would have been on the plane that got me there too late. So I would have missed it. It's another really good one. Don't ever let anybody else be your finish line. You decide what you're going to do. And you go round and you up and over and whatever you have to do, but you just no one makes that decision for you.
Oh, that just gave me goosebumps, that story.
It did me too again. I'm sorry.
Oh no, beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Julia. You've been
my great pleasure.
A wonderful guest, and your stories, your real life stories are so inspiring for, I'm sure, everyone who's listening to them. So thank you again.
And thank you, because you've given me more things to think of. I love the word intentional and a couple of other things you said that make you just keep on going. Great pleasure. Thank you.
If you are inspired but thinking, I can't do that, then you are so wrong. Anyone can learn the art of uncomfortable growth with the help of my flagship program, Uncomfortable Growth, Own Your Reinvention. In this, you will learn to navigate your own internal contradictions to finally unlock the courage and commitment to live a deeply meaningful life by design and on your terms. Uncomfortable growth is about the struggle and joy in discovering who you are, what you truly want, and how to make it happen. If this is something you are ready for, then find out more at www.rowenamillward.com. What have you got to lose, or more importantly, gain?